Hi there everyone, welcome to Fingers, Thumbs and Fits, and I'm welcoming you back to Age of Sigmar Spearhead, where today we're looking at issue number 2. Last time we got some character models. We got a Lord Veritant and his Gryph-hound, we got a Grey Seer, and we got a Warlock Engineer. What's in store for us this time? Well, if you were paying attention at the end of the last video, you'll know what models we get, but as always, we'll keep it upside down for now so that we can take a look at the contents of the magazine itself first. A little bit pockmarked from the models, but yeah, as you can see, that's what we're getting. 3 Rat Ogres. But before then, well, looks like this is about Skaven. That's a picture of a Grey Seer, as I said, they're kind of albino. Yeah. So this looks like, oh, look at that, it's a Vermin Lord. That's a kind of like Greater Demon of the Horned Rat. The Vermin Doom. That's the great city that the Skaven exist in, Blight City or Skaven Blight or whatever you wish to know. I think it is actually just known as Blight City now, as it says there. It used to be called Skaven Blight. Is kind of, I don't quite know, I think it exists in its own sort of like pocket dimension, but every now and then it will burst forth in parts into the mortal realms. And that's kind of what the Vermin Doom is when Skaven Blight, or Blight City, sorry, I'm just used to calling it Skaven Blight, when Blight City bursts through into the mortal realms and starts infecting everything around it and starts pouring rats out all over the place. So yes, anyways, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself there. Here we've got the section on how to build the Rat Ogres, which I'm going to do in a moment. We've got a section on how to paint some minis, which is nice. Fighting with units. See more rules here. Allocating damage, reinforcements, which we're not going to do much of right now. Sort of example plays, Skaven, Stormcast victories. Again, there's an example of what we'll be looking at the end of it. And right, and a preview to issue number 3, which I don't have because I've only been sent the first 2 first, but we get 5 Liberators, Stormcast Liberators, which, let's take a quick look there. That's what they look like. That's your standard sort of Stormcast Eternal Foot Troops. So, anyways, enough of that. Here are our Rat Ogres. They don't look like much at the moment, so let's do something about that. Be right back. Hi there everyone, and I'm back with 3 newly assembled Rat Ogres on the other side of the playmat this time, as we realised that we couldn't see the models properly on the other side. Yeah, now, the character models, all of these models that come with this magazine are all push-fit plastic models. You don't need glue to put them together. I have used a little bit of glue just to give them a little bit of strength. You don't need to. And I can see why Games Workshop do this. It kind of promotes accessibility. You know, you don't need as much to get into the hobby. If you subscribe to this magazine, in fact, they do send you a pair of clippers and a mold line remover. So, you know, you're kind of good to go straight off the bat. As I say, you don't need glue in order to put them together. Now, the issue that this comes with, though, is the fact that they can be a little bit fiddly or a little bit tough to put together. These models, for example, the arms, let's just take a look at this one quickly. The arms, like the lower arms, the forearms and the hands, are separate pieces. And on, well, in fact, actually on all 3 of them, I had to actually trim the the peg down that affixed that part on, and there was a couple of bits and pieces I had to do that on. and unless you really properly file some of this down after you've clipped it off, you're going to end up with gaps in the models. Like here, for example, I don't know if you can see that, there's one in his shoulder. There's another one. Oh yeah, there, kind of on his chest. You can see that there. So yeah, if that's not something you have an issue with, I mean, with these it's kind of a little bit, it's not going to make much of a difference. I reckon I can work with it. But if that's something that bothers you, I would recommend looking into getting a file or an emery board or something, to just sort of sand down the edges so that they fit flush, and do a proper dry fit if you're looking to put them together with glue to make sure that they fit how you like. Aside from that, though, I mean, that's the only gripe I have about these. These aren't that fiddly to put together. If you do follow the instructions, some of the instructions do look a little bit odd when it comes to actually matching them up with the actual pieces themselves. But it's nothing too complicated, and you know, just with a little bit of trial and error, you know, getting the pieces oriented the correct way, you're good to go. So yeah, nothing too major. Let's have a look at these then. We've got this fella. He's just got an open hand, and he's got a warp fire projector grafted to his arm. I'm assuming that's what it is anyway. We've got this guy. He's got a claw on his left hand. Come on, focus in. Now, okay, we can't get this guy into focus, unfortunately. I do apologise, but he's got a blade on his forearm there. Oh, there we go. That claw was already sort of coming apart on the sprue, so be careful with that one. Take a bit of care. You might want to reinforce it with a bit more glue. That's why it looks a little bit wonky, because it was that sort of prong on the right hand side there was almost coming off, so I've had to sort of reinforce it with some glue. And this last one, again, we've got an open hand, open paw on one side, and this guy has a warpstone blade attached to his arm. So yeah, terrifying creations, these Rat Ogors. Again, the Warlock engineers have got a lot to answer for. These are by far not the most terrifying things they've created. They're not in the Spearhead forces, however, though. They'd be quite terrifying if they were. So we're not going to mention them. But yeah, those are the Rat Ogors. Kind of really chomping at the bit now to try and get these painted. I've got an interesting idea for how I want to paint up the Skaven. I've got an interesting idea for how I want to paint up the Stormcast as well, to be perfectly honest with you. Just a quick recap though, if you're going to stick around and join me for the next one. Next time, for issue number 3, we should be getting 5 Stormcast Liberators. So yeah, be sure to join me for that. But all I can say right now is thank you for watching, and I hope you join me for that one. So until then, keep on adventuring, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.